Moving parts when it comes to the Kavanaugh confirmation process.
Try to wrap your mind around all this. Here to help us put it all together, political professor Rick Epps. Rick, good morning.
Good morning. I'm working to wrap my mind around it all,
Yeah,
too.
I was just saying, boy, teaching a politics class right now, political science class, must be very difficult and unique. You got to almost throw out the rule book here, right?
Absolutely.
How do you teach what's going on right now?
Well, you have to try and be as balanced as you can, right?
Sure.
So part of it is you talk about what happens, for example, if in fact, if you don't nominate, say if he's not guilty, hypothetically, right? And then he doesn't make it to the bench, that's wrong. And then if he is guilty and makes it to the bench, then what do you say? What does that say about us? So it's a complicated thing, and so you have to kind of share both sides.
So let's get to what happened this morning, because so much has already happened in the last hour or so. Senator Blumenthal asked for Mark Judge, of course, the friend of Brett Kavanaugh, to be subpoenaed. Should the committee call him to testify or not? Because they already voted and they said, yeah, we're not doing that. Thoughts?
Yeah, well, if you look at what he had already said previously, he didn't have any recollection of what took place.
Sure.
So then, and it's interesting how he, instead of categorically saying, all he said was that I don't think that he would do something like that, but he didn't say anything categorically because he knows obviously that he would be committing a crime. So he kind of skirted around it, but I would say that I don't think it would do any good to bring him in. I really don't think it's going to serve any purpose.
Well, the motion was denied
absolutely.
down the party lines. But let's talk a little bit about yesterday. I think everybody's still waking up this morning, and you just hear the chatter from everybody saying, what happened? What was that? Even if you wanted to take your eyes off the screen, you couldn't for a second.
Yeah, I mean, it was really quite a political theater, in some ways. And disturbing in a lot of ways. I mean, certainly, when you think about all the grandstanding, all these sort of grandiose statements, and here's Lindsey Graham, and he's like almost throwing himself on the Senate floor, and you think about, to me, what bothered me the most in this was the fact that how they came out this way, and yet when Merrick Garland came up when Obama was in, and they just blew by him, they wouldn't even vet him, and now they're saying, well, gee, how this is a problem for us on this side, but it's kind of disingenuous.
Going into yesterday's hearings, everybody was worrying about, okay, when this starts, it's about credibility. Most people kind of stuck to their original beliefs. The doctor was credible. And then those who listened to Kavanaugh said Kavanaugh was credible. Is this just boiling down to he said, she said, they gave her her time, and that's it, we're voting and moving forward? Was she credible in your eyes?
If you watch the testimony, I mean, it'd be hard to say that she wasn't. I mean, she was very compelling and very detailed in her, recollection of the events. So I would say that it'd be hard to dispel that for anybody. But, true believers will believe whatever they want anyway. But yeah, I'd say she was quite credible.
Let's talk about Kavanaugh. Many are talking about his reaction this morning, his anger this morning. On one hand, you watch something like that and you put yourself in his shoes. If you were wrongly accused of some serious accusations like this, one would understand why someone would be so angry.
Yeah, I mean, on one hand, when you listen to his testimony yesterday, he was quite angry and quite visceral in his, in his account and anger. But that could serve to help him or hurt him, right? It could help him in the context of, like you say, anybody who would be accused of something like this certainly would be, maybe have the same ire and anger and make that very public. On the other hand, it could also serve to undo you because people look at you, well, why are you not composed in this, and why are you just kind of lashing back? So it could, depending on who's watching, it could serve him or it could really hurt him because of his sort of emotional rebuttal.
The president called this a total sham. Do you think this was a total sham yesterday?
No, I don't. I think it was necessary. I mean, again, the theater of it all certainly I think is problematic, but I think that it was important because, let's be honest, both these individuals are being tried in the court of public opinion, and that's really what matters a lot here to some degree before it goes further in the Senate.
Developing overnight and in this morning, a lot of people are hearing the news that the Bar Association, American Bar Association, wants the vote to be delayed. That's their recommendation this morning. Does that make any difference for them to come out and say that?
I think it was quite a powerful statement. I wish they had said it earlier, because for the Bar Association to simply say they're not calling him guilty, but they're just simply saying, look, let's get all the facts on the table before we decide to put someone in a lifetime position at the highest level of justice in our country. I think that's a reasonable assertion, but for them to come out and say that publicly, I think really is problematic for the Senate Judiciary Committee as well as for the GOP itself.
I think the vote today based on the 11 to 10 party lines, this will go to the vote next week. Does he get confirmed next week in the full Senate, in your opinion?
Especially with Jeff Flake turning today.
And he just said he's going to vote to confirm.
So that means that you've got really you're only one. You're 49. You've already got 49. You need 50, right?
Yeah.
So they basically need one person of the remaining to go there. I say probably they're going to get that one more vote, you know, and then from there it's going to go to the Senate and for full confirmation. And at that point, I think it's problematic. But right now, they say they don't have enough votes to do that, to get him confirmed through the Senate. But there's some hinge votes in there. We'll see how that plays out. But it's going to be very, very problematic.
All right. So the committee will vote in about 3 hours from now,
Yep.
and then possibly next week we'll see what happens. Political professor Rick Epps, trying to summarize that in a few minutes is difficult, but we
Stay
appreciate
tuned.
it. Yes, sir. Stay tuned indeed.
Good to see you.
7